And joining us now for more on Georgia is Tia Mitchell. She's the Washington correspondent for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Tia, thanks for being with us. It's crunch time now. You're following this rematch. It's a rematch between Stacey Abrams and Governor Kemp very closely. So what stood out to you during last night's debate?
Well, what stood out to me is that, now Governor Kemp has almost 4 years to run on. And that's something that he can use as to say to Georgia voters, this is what I've done, this is what I will continue to do. But that also is what's being used by Stacey Abrams to say, this is the direction Brian Kemp has taken Georgia, and we think there are things that he could have done that he didn't do, or things that he did that were wrong for Georgia voters. So this race, compared to their initial contest in 2018, is much more focused on Kemp's record, and then that makes it also difficult because now Stacey Abrams isn't just running for an open seat. She's trying to convince Georgia voters to unseat an incumbent and go in a new direction. She's trying to lay out that new direction, but that's a more difficult task.
So let's talk about what's really playing out at the polls. Abrams is focusing on social issues like abortion. Kemp talked about his plans for the economy. When you look at what voters are extremely concerned about right now, it's the economy. So how is this all playing out now among voters? What do you think they are most passionate about at this point?
And so Stacey Abrams has tried to make the connection, for example, for Medicaid expansion. She puts it in the framework as an economic issue, affordability, healthcare, the cost of uncompensated coverage. She's also talked a lot about what she thinks the state should do to prioritize its spending and spend the tax dollars, the federal dollars on people that they think need it most. But yes, it's a harder sell to make when we know the bottom line is the number one issue this election is pocketbook issues. It is the inflation. It is the economy. And on that, people are looking at Governor Kemp and saying, well, looks like Georgia did okay during the pandemic. And he's, used relief funds to give workers pay raises and send checks to Georgia families. And so and Governor Kemp suspended the gas tax, for example, when gas prices began to skyrocket. So he is saying he has the stronger argument when it comes to inflation issues. Again, what Abrams is saying is, I could do it better if you let me become your governor.
And Tia, can I follow up on that issues discussion? President Biden out there today trying to put abortion, the woman's right to choose, overturned by the Supreme Court of the United States, right back front and center in elections across the country. How salient is the abortion issue in Georgia? How much of a driver of voting do you think it will be?
So we know through both our formal polling at the AJC as well as informal surveys we've conducted of Georgia voters, that abortion is an issue that does motivate voters to the polls, particularly Democrats, particularly women. We know that particularly in Georgia, white women in the suburbs and exurbs of Atlanta could swing a race. And so abortion is a motivating factor for sure, but it is not the number one factor for the vast majority of voters. Those economic issues and inflation continues to be the number one factor. So yes, Democrats know that they can't necessarily make it all about abortion, but they are hoping that they can motivate their base, increase turnout by making that contrast with Republicans in Georgia on the issue of abortion, knowing that Georgia is one of those states that does now have a very restrictive abortion law in place. It restricts abortions after fetal cardiac activity is detected, which is about 6 weeks of pregnancy. And it's not very popular. It doesn't poll well. And so, again, Democrats are hoping that can help motivate voters.
Well, they were definitely motivated because voting there in Georgia broke midterm record. It was pretty amazing, the turnout. So it's been fun to follow, that's for sure. We're so glad you're doing it with us, Tia. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.